Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on another episode of KOIN Conversations. I'm Anthony Costura, one of the anchors here at KOIN 6 and for Portland CW. Today, we have a very special guest, Ashley Murray, who is the executive director of Sellwood Community House, which is a great organization here in the Portland Metro. Ashley, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So let's start with Sellwood Community House. For people who don't know, how do you describe, you guys do so much, how do you describe what it is that you all do?
Oh my gosh, we do so much. I feel like when we explain it sometimes to people, we're an intergenerational third place community center for all of Portland
Yeah. And you've been the executive director for how long now?
for 6 years.
6 years. And so how did you come into that role? Because I think you were involved before you became the executive director. So how did that all play out?
Yeah, so when this organization started, there was an opportunity for me to come in and be their educational director. So I started here in the preschool program, which I think is where, my heart of so much of the programming that we do is supporting our youngest learners here at the community house. And that was right before the COVID shutdown. There was a lot of programmatic adjustments. So I moved from the educational director into our first permanent executive director after having an interim during that time.
Okay. And as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I think the organization actually, did it close for a brief period of time?
Well, it was originally like this old community house opened in 1910, and it was a YMCA originally.
That's
And
right.
then in 1918, it was absorbed into the Portland Parks and Recreation portfolio. And then it ran programming for Portlanders till 2019. So there was only about a week closure from when it was like moving hands from the Park and Rec department into our nonprofit.
Okay. That seems like quite the undertaking. Like most people, I don't know, like there's not really a book on like how you would transition into something like that.
I feel like we've had such an awesome group of dedicated staff. We always just come into this space thinking like, what kind of world do we want to live in? What kind of space do we feel like we could support our community members with like the highest, best use of this space and these programs? And I think that's really a lot of people. Anyone who comes through our doors generally leaves saying, "Oh my gosh, how do you guys do so much?" And it's just walk around. The staff that's here is so dedicated and creative, and we make a lot of stuff happen on a really short timeline.
Okay, I let's stop there for a second because I guess got reacquainted with you. We had known each other from years ago. I've moved around a lot because of TV news, and then we showed up to the Sellwood Park. I think it was
Hmm.
this last summer, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you all were doing this massive undertaking of what I lovingly call as the shack, even though I think there's like a longer name to that.
Hmm.
And to your point, like just a lot of work happening in a very short period of time. So for people who don't know, can you kind of explain that project and how we kind of got reacquainted in that time?
Yeah, so I love sharing about that project. The Shack in Sellwood Park, I think a lot of people, Portlanders, visited it this summer. We actually captured 52 zip codes, came
Oh wow.
and hung out at the Shack this summer. So it was definitely like stretched so much beyond our neighborhood here in Sellwood. And we sprinkled throughout the city, there used to be these small buildings inside parks. I think a lot of us see them now wandering through parks. They're closed. And we had one in our park. And we always dreamed of reopening it and having free recreation and activities for community members like there used to be in the city from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So we worked really closely with Portland Parks and Recreation they allowed us to kind of renovate the building and offer programming. But the timeline from the day we got the keys to opening was 40 days. And we did a lot in 40 days.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that was kind of where we kind of reconnected was this thing
Yeah.
was happening. And then I got to share that it wasn't just happening a year from now, or, it was literally like, hey, come back next week and it's going to be completely different.
When we did that story, my photographer and I in Sellwood Park, like we walked up and it was like there was painters. It was like the vision of what was to come. And to your
Mhm.
point, very short time frame. You say the word programming, and really all that means, I remember from our interview talking about like hula hooping, and there's like
Mhm.
a concession stand if you want like iced coffee and all of that. And you did
Yeah.
that so quickly.
We even worked with so many community partners, like Body Vox came in and did classes in the park. We had music 2 days a week. And I think just when you have a vision, I think sometimes that's what I was made for was, dreaming up, like holding a vision and just making it happen. And the Shack was just such an exciting project to work on because we had a deadline and, we had a lot of families to serve. So we kind of said we're opening on this day and time, and everyone rallied around and we worked really hard and made it happen.
You absolutely did. If you can, this is kind of a pop quiz. Do you know how many people you were able to serve and the kind of the cost that's associated with that? And then what does next summer look like now?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we served probably over 8,000 Portlanders this summer. So we did capture people who came. We checked out over 3,000 pieces of equipment for people to check out, like if they wanted to play pickleball or soccer or capture the flag. We hosted 252 free community events, anything from partnering with our local library to partnering with Portland Free Play for an adventure playground and activities in the evening. So that is really, we served a lot of people and did a lot of programming.
You
And
did.
it was definitely exciting to get in there and see what Portlanders were wanting and how to support them. And I think we learned so much. And using that as we always think of it as kind of an iterative process. Like we're entrepreneurs, like kind of, we don't plan to plan, we plan to do. We get in there, see what people are most excited about, and use that to kind of work on programming next summer.
Yeah. What I love about it is that I think there's kind of a misconception often in the United States just about always having to start from scratch or building new. And in this case, I love it because it really is such a historic piece of property that the city really entrusted you with. And then you kind of got to
Mhm.
go in there and do your whole thing. What was the response like from Portland Parks and Rec and just kind of seeing that revitalized in a way?
Oh, I think it was just such a great partnership, like so much excitement. I think with like budget cuts, it's been, I know like what makes our organization, I think, really unique is we have such a shared vision, similarly to Portland Parks and Recreation. So when there's budget cuts and restrictions of what they're able to do, I think kind of doing public-private partnerships with organizations like ours really helps connect that shared vision to a broader goal that everyone can feel really proud and excited about.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like it was so well received that, and I don't know the timeline of events, so you can kind of fill in the blanks for me, but I know you're still working with the city and with Portland Parks and Rec to the
Mhm.
point where I think there's some land for like $1, which seems promising. So, kind of bring us up to speed about the future of Sellwood Community House now and how that looks.
Yeah, so as we were just talking about the shack, that's one of our sites at Sellwood Park, and Sellwood Community House is on a plot of land that maybe not everyone knows the story, and I'll make it pretty short. But the turn of the century, there was our first YMCA in Portland, and it was in the downtown area. And at the time, transportation for people on the east side, it was pretty difficult to get down there, but there was this huge need for community connection and recreation. And our site was actually the second YMCA here in Portland. And it was really started because the people in this neighborhood wanted a space to gather and connect and, participate in recreation. And so this property was a YMCA, then turned over to the city, entrusted for 100 years. And then since it's been a community center for such a long time, it was closed during budget cuts along with the Fulton and Hillside in 2019. We were able to work really closely with parks to still identify that this is a need in the community and in Portland and work together to just continue operations of a community center pretty seamlessly. And I think through that, we have learned a lot about grants that we're able to apply for. And it's so much easier if we can kind of be separate from Portland parks, but with the same continued mission of, there is a deed restriction on our property acquisition that we will continue to operate in public benefit in perpetuity. And I think although it's going to be off the city of Portland's books, really, I'm hoping that it will feel like there's a deep enhancement of recreation, community engagement, and programming in this area that Portland Parks has been unable to fund for some time.
Yeah. Well, I think, just with your other projects, I feel like you've already kind of proven your ability. So I'm excited for you all. What does the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years look like, kind of with that vision in mind now?
I love starting at 20 years and then working
Oh,
back a little
okay.
bit.
Okay.
It's exciting to think about what's the world we might want to live in 20 years. Like, what is a Portlander's daily life, and how is recreation and community third spaces playing a vital role in livability here in Portland? And in 20 years, would love to see community houses speckled throughout the city, citywide, in all 4 districts where Portlanders could walk or ride so easily and have access to a community space, just like in the turn of the century, that like community need of, hey, it's really hard for us to get to the other side of the river, but this is a valuable part of our life. And I would love to see these both in terms of utilizing other city-owned assets and potentially additional properties in every neighborhood in Portland. And I would love 60 parks to be programmed all summer long, just like it was in the 40s through the 70s, where people come to Portland and this is not just an activity you go and participate in, it's just part of the fabric of being a Portlander.
I like that. And very well thought out. Do you know of any other city that has something similar to kind of what you're aspiring to?
I don't know anything on that large of a scale. I feel
Yeah.
like internationally, there's spaces that prioritize play and community connection on a different level, but that's a big part of what we're doing this year is touring around other cities and seeing what they're doing and how they're, kind of shared vision, but everything looks a little bit different to meet their community's need.
Yeah. I like your hat that you're wearing. We were talking about it before we started recording here.
Yeah.
But I know that's really like a big part of what you all do. It really is so community focused. And I'm curious to know, just in your 6 years as executive director now and just doing all these big, lofty projects, what does community mean to you as you've kind of gone through these different phases?
Mhm. I feel like community to me has really felt like a sense of like safety and security and belonging. I think belonging is one of the words that resonates with me in the work that we do here. Just knowing like everyone who enters the threshold of our building, from little tinies up through seniors and older adults, that they just feel warm and welcome. And so yeah, so encouraged to be in this space. And I think just in the world right now, just having people that we can count on and people who also have shared vision and just feel, it just feels like home when you're around them. And also from us being in our building or out at the park, or really just like living in the space we're in, running into people and just knowing that someone knows your name, knows a little bit about you, I think just makes you feel really special to live in a community where people have shared vision and mission as you.
Yeah. And I know you have 2 kids. Did you feel like, Sellwood Community House was an integral part of figuring out
Mhm.
parenthood and like what that looks like and getting that level of support and programming and all the things that come with being a mom?
100%. Previously, when it was run by Portland Parks and Recreation, I've lived in Portland for 20 years almost, and I'm a single parent. And when my kids were younger, I was just desperately looking for quote unquote community. I'm pretty outgoing. I went to story times, activities, and just I think that opportunity of showing back up at the same space week after week, day after day, and having those, community and friendship and trust and safety is not built overnight. And I think spaces where you can kind of run into the same people over and over are so valuable. I remember one day calling my mom and saying, like, I am having a really hard time meeting anyone. And she was like, well, why don't you like go to a community center. And I went to Mount Scott at first, and it was, it was like bigger. And somehow I ended up here at Sellwood Community Center when my kids were about 2 and 4. And right when I walked in the door, it just felt special. It was small, and I was seeing the same people consistently. And some of my dearest friends I have now are people who I met here when my kids were younger. And I think like feeling lonely and not supported as a parent is really hard and challenging on your mental health. And I think back of how hard that was for me as a new mom. And I think providing this community space just feels like my life's work a little bit of making sure that everyone always has an opportunity to feel supported, whether they have family around or not.
Put that on your next beanie. I like that. It's probably too long of a quote to fit on. But no, that is really true
Yeah.
because I think as parents are trying to figure out what this new phase of their own life looks like and all this responsibility, then you also have kids saying, I'm bored. Read to me.
Mhm.
And you're just
Mhm.
like, I am trying to figure out our meals. I'm trying to just pay my bills.
Yes.
I'm trying to do my own
Mhm.
thing. And so that's what I kind of love about just your goal and really what you provide is it's like something for the parents and really special for sure for the kids because then they have kind of built-in friends and can learn
Mhm.
what it means to be in community and what that all looks like.
Mhm. I know I love since we support kids through youngers up through older kids, it's, seeing that space of like in school, you're leaving one school building and you're entering a new school building. And I think like having that continuity of every age and stage of someone's life where there's like some level of like, I feel welcome, I know this place, and also a level of responsibility, like, hey, this place is really meaningful to me. And it's, I love seeing middle schoolers at dances here, like, hey man, I like went to preschool up there. And I think it's so special that like they have this like shared story here. And hopefully like we have generations that come back who have, their kids and grandkids participating in programming here. And I think that's just one of the most beautiful things to have a space where all community members are welcomed.
Yeah. Well, and it even reminds me of when we did the story when you were working on the shack before it opened to the public and even just talking to some folks who live in Sellwood and they remember when that programming was there, in the 70s and
Mhm.
just kind of
Mhm.
bringing back that sense of nostalgia. What I think I most admire is kind of this commitment really to the city. And over the last several years, Portland has really struggled economically and even with development and just trying to let people know that it's safe here and that it's a good place to live.
Mhm.
In your I guess, life's work, as you call it, in terms of trying to provide this like family programming. Where does like your commitment to Portland also fit in to that spectrum too? Because it's you can't have one without the other, really.
Oh, I feel so committed. I feel like I absolutely love everything that's happening in Portland. I've been here for 20 years. This is where I'm raising my family, and I just feel like Portland is just ablaze with possibility. And I think, just approaching this city with that just commitment that beautiful things are, ahead of us. And like we are a space in Portland of so many creative dreamers. And I think sometimes when policy or the budget doesn't fit our desired needs, I think that's why it's so exciting to reach out beyond those folks, definitely get support from them, but say, hey, this is a dream. We're wanting to see this happen. Let's make it happen. And I think my commitment is hearing what, like, how do Portlanders want their experience or their um, city to be experienced, and then identifying those barriers, and then working with people who love to identify barriers and make it happen. So I feel like my
Yeah.
commitment is like, I want to see in 20 years if I'm a grandparent someday or my kids live here, that they feel like they never for a second need to move out of this city that they have been raised in and put a lot of their time and energy into, that this city is built for everyone to feel really successful.
Yeah, you have to invest like your own time and your own energy and to make it be what you want it to be.
Mhm.
With that said, aside from identifying the barriers and just doing it. I would imagine that someone out there is going to be watching this and seeing what you're doing and kind of this out of the box idea and how much you've been able to accomplish obviously with so much support. What is like what's your 30-second elevator pitch if someone was like, I have an idea, but no one's going to go for it? Like, what's the thing that like really pushed you over the edge to just do it?
Mm-hmm. I really think about what type of like world that we want to live in, and we don't have control over a lot of things, but the things we do have control over, let's make those things happen. And I really feel like if Portland is designed to prioritize play and families and connection, it's going to transform our entire city. And I think just thinking it's not just our city. When people experience that, that's part of their daily life. When they go off to college, when they move, they're going to pick up those seeds from the most important parts of their life, identify places in the world that those are lacking, and build that in other places in the United States. And I think big dreams are not just big dreams here. They're so tangible and possible. And I would love Portland to be recognized nationally as one of the best cities in the United States to raise a family. And I'm excited to see that narrative shift. And I think community centers and playing at the park together is the best place to start.
Playing at the park. Put it on the record. That's the thing. Um, okay, I guess to get into some of the optics here, because I want to let people know how they can support you. I know there's a lot of volunteers. I know
Hmm.
that you all need money.
Hmm.
And probably just, resources, time and talent and all of those things. So what do you all need? Because you're balancing a lot. You got a lot
Hmm.
on your plate. How can we as a community support Sellwood Community House?
Hmm. One, I feel like everyone brings something of value. And I think that is something, whether that's someone's expertise, whether that's someone's enthusiasm, whether that's someone saying, hey, I love this idea. I'm going to tell my friend about it. So obviously, there are so many ways that they can power this movement, but never want anyone to feel stuck that they don't have the resources to write a large check or time or energy. I think there is just a prism of possibilities how people can help shape this and have it be scaled citywide. But volunteering is wonderful, donations, but really, I think just getting behind the mission of what we're hoping to do, that recreation can truly serve our city in a really empowering way in all districts. And I think sharing that with your city council members, with Portland Parks and Recreation, with everyone who's making decisions, saying this is really important to me and my community to have spaces to play and gather, and it's important to my daily life here in Portland.
Yeah. Um, that's well said. I like that. Um, Big dates or events that we should be aware of? Anything coming up that you think we should put on our calendars and like can't miss that?
Oh my gosh, our spring fundraiser. But now that I'm here, I'm like, we haven't decided for sure on a date.
Okay, okay.
It's
You can
in
just tease
May.
it broadly.
Okay, well, I'll tease it broadly.
Okay.
Our theme is kind of World's Fair, which is like we're really driving from those spaces of innovation where people used to come and dream up these wild ideas and have people walk through and say, oh my gosh, what if our world had a washer and dryer or electricity or these huge things? And I think that is something we love to come with, that World's Fair energy of let's just dream up something wild. And I think sometimes when you like kind of print the ticket, the concert's coming. And I think that's kind of what we're doing here of dreaming up like all the huge ways that Portland is going to be transformed over these next 20 years. And through our spring fundraiser, it's really going to be set up like an immersive experience, like going to the World's Fair and being teased with all these big ideas of what if Portland had a children's trolley that kids could jump on and off and go to all these different activities citywide? What if there was rec leagues for middle schoolers who are really lacking that right now? What if there was bike buses that took kids to the park every day? So that's something big on the horizon that I would love to tease.
Yeah. I like that. And you said that happens in May, roughly?
in May. Yeah.
Okay. And so if people want to follow for updates, what's the best way to do that? Your website or social or?
Social media, but also jumping on and joining our newsletter. And that's probably the best way that people are getting kind of monthly updates on what's ahead and how to get involved and excited about all the work that we're doing.
Drop the website or to sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, sellwoodcommunityhouse.org.
That's what I thought. I was worried that I was going to say com or net or something else that was wrong, and people were going to be like, "This is not what they told me to do." Well, I'm excited for everything that's to come, and not just for the fundraiser, but beyond that, really just about what you all are doing in the city. I think it's going to be really fun. Is there anything else you think we should know about your organization before I let you go?
Oh my gosh. Well,
I know, no pressure.
we are so open. I think something that makes us is really fun to work here is we're really responsive to community needs. So we always, have a kind of an idea of what we're hoping to do, but really how we show up and serve our community members is by hearing what you guys are wanting and needing. And so we're always open to people reaching out. And that's really where a lot of our programming starts from is saying, hey, we really want this ukulele group, or we're wanting park music, or we're wanting a parent support group. So we really do love to make all the magic happen. So please reach out to us, info@solidcommunityhouse.org, and let us know if there's anything you guys would love to see happen here and beyond. And we would be so honored to hopefully make it happen.
See, now you're a pro. You're getting the hang of it. There it is. My last question before I let you go, because you do offer so many different types of programming, and I mentioned the hula hooping, you mentioned the body vox. What's the favorite thing that you've offered in the time that you've been there? Just the thing like,
Oh
I
my
can't
gosh.
believe we did that. I know there's got
Oh,
to be one.
there. I'm like, okay, our Nutcracker Tea Party that happens every winter is definitely a fan favorite. We have, pillar programs like preschool and after school and summer camp, but our events are just incredible. And we definitely have people who come back year after year and are really excited to see those happen. So that is one that is very popular.
Okay, I'll take it. Mine, it's not really programming. It's just that it was the concession stand. I'm still the iced coffee at the
Hmm.
shack in the middle of summer. The kids can go play. Like you, it's
I
one-stop shopping. How great is
know.
that?
I think it's so easy. Like, what do we want to see happen? Like, the most simple things. It's not anything major. You want like a cold, fizzy water and an ice cream. Let's just do it. Let's just make it happen.
Let's just do it. And then, yeah, and then you're doing good in your own community. And I think that's the best part.
Hmm.
Love it. Okay. Ashley Murray, thanks for being with us today. I really appreciate it. It's always nice to see you. Uh,
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you. I'm Anthony Costura. This has been the latest episode of KOIN Conversations. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.